Welcome to Midlife Schmidlife, the online community for listeners who want to redefine the middle years and recreate their lives lived to the fullest. Join our host, Liz Applegate, as she interviews guests over the age of 40 who are turning their maybe somedays into today and going after their dreams. Let's get the party started.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be able to say that again. Hey, I'm Liz Applegate. I am a coach for women who are tired of playing small and are ready to get unstuck by breaking the good girl rules. And I'm Liz Applegate, and if you are new here, I'm so excited to have you here. If you are a returning listener, hello, I haven't forgotten about you, I promise. Just so much has happened that I definitely think we should recap on. But for right now, when I am recording this, it is April 16th, 2020, and we are in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. If you are listening in the future, boy, do I wish that you could just give me some pointers and tell me what's to come and what to expect. But for now, if you are listening to this now, we are in the middle of shelter in place and seeing the global effects of how this pandemic is playing out. And what I am noticing while I'm having conversation with my friends and colleagues and connections that I have is that this is bringing about a new way of managing our daily activities. And it's also shining a spotlight on areas of our lives that most likely we probably should have been paying attention to before, but now we've been given this extra opportunity to be laser focused on those areas. So I thought this would be a wonderful opportunity to have a series that I'm calling Now More Than Ever, because it does seem like that now more than ever, it's a time to pay attention to some places for ourselves. And so my first episode of this series is with my guest, Darina Kors of the Space Doula. Darina and I have known each other for probably 5 years. We've been in the same groups, and it's just been wonderful getting to know her. And she is a feng shui master and an intuitive space and energy clearer. And she does wonderful work with her clients. And she's a believer that you can use your home to reflect the life that you want to live. And let me tell you, it is just fascinating. She is so intuitive, and she just has this way of being able to tie life stories together. And I don't know, she's just amazing to work with. She is helping me get my home into a place of how I want to move forward, even before this pandemic, but especially now, looking at places in my home that can reflect how I want to grow my business, how I want to have connections with my family, how I want to write a new story. So she has some amazing things in our conversation as we're going to talk about boundaries. And this is both physical boundaries as well as emotional and boundaries. And it's a fascinating conversation. She gives some tips, and I just can't wait for you to meet her. Now, be sure to go over to the show notes for this episode, and I will have all the links that we talk about. And I also wanted you all to know that these episodes were actually recorded from a Facebook Live. So what I am doing is I am inviting guests to come over, have a Facebook Live with me, and then I record them, and then I'm sharing them on the podcast for on-the-go listening for when you are able to get out and take a walk or bike ride or just to have some quiet time. So you may hear references to Facebook or comments. So I just want you to know that that is what is going on. In the show notes, I will also have a link to my Facebook page so that you can actually check those interviews out real time if you'd like. Next week, I have as my guests my mastermind buddies, Joe Casey and Laura Heacock, and we talk about connection. So I hope you will join us either on Facebook Live or come back here and download the podcast episode. So without further ado, let's go have a conversation about boundaries with Darina. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. And my name is Liz Applegate. I am a life and business coach for women who are tired of playing small and are ready to break the good girl rules. And I have with me my friend Darina Kors. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you do such amazing work that I would never do it justice. So, Darina.
Thank you. I am a space doula, better known as the space doula, but a certified practitioner of feng shui and space clearing. And one of the things I do is show you how your home mirrors your life. And more importantly, how when you shift one, you shift the other. So it's another way to, I like to say, come in through the back door of making some changes.
Yeah, I was really excited. So I've been running a group for women who are new to working from home full time, and we were talking about boundaries, and you messaged me and said, "Hey, Liz, I can talk about boundaries." And I was like, "Oh yes, we have to have this." But I'm glad we decided to make this open for more people just because I just feel like we're going to have such an important conversation for this time. Like I said, now more than ever, I feel like boundaries, you and I were talking about it, how boundaries are really super important now more than ever.
They are. And it's funny because some people are being triggered by the now more than ever. And I'm like, but no, we've never experienced this before.
Right.
And I think one of the things, as I was thinking about our conversation coming up, is that a lot of the boundary issues are things that were already needed to be put in place, or they were already boundaries being crossed. And now it's like this big flashlight.
Right. Yeah. Just like a big flashlight on everything, right?
Right. And so it's become so much more important to talk about.
Yeah, so when we first hopped on, we hopped on a little bit early and we're catching up to see how we were. And I felt like it was really important that both of us speak into what's coming up for us now. And we're both feeling just a little bit heavy. I don't know how to explain it. Just like I'm a little bit nervous about this conversation. I'll be honest. It's been a while since I've interviewed someone since my podcast days, and that's been a couple years. And so I'm a little nervous. I feel like too, it's just the sign of the times. Like you never know, like where we're going to be on that roller coaster. And I just wondered, like, how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I think that was. I woke up this morning and was like, oh shit. There it is, and like you said, not knowing, I almost want to say who's going to show up, like what feelings are going to show up, and really trying to stay in the space of honoring them instead of one of like my big silver linings of this time is allowing the feelings to come up without the distractions of running away from them. Yeah. And so when they come, they're like, whew. And so, yeah, as I told you before, I just laid out on my driveway before we got on and just feeling and separating what's mine and what's the collective. And I feel like today they're kind of intermingled together. Some of it's mine, some of it's the collective fear. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bumpy day.
Agreed. And yet I also want to honor the fact that we both showed up, right? Like we can have these bumpy days and have these feelings and also show up for ourselves and for other people. And we need to do that with boundaries. So
exactly. And that's, like self-care becomes like the biggest boundary of them all, right? Or like the, boundary that that's the most important. And so that's what was like, hey, I need a minute to self-care. And that was like laying on the driveway.
Yeah. I shared with you, that's what I call my lizard on the rock. Like I just like, you see these lizards like on the rock and they're just like, just soaking up the sun. And I just need that sometimes too. And it's sunny today. So maybe after this call, I'll go lay on the driveway too.
Yeah, I love that. I love that visual.
Maybe we can start a movement, right? It's like laying on the driveway.
We can
Oh,
post our lizard poses.
there we go. I like that. I like that.
It's funny.
Oh, so I would like to hear from you. So to you, what are boundaries and
I
why are they needed?
I heard somebody very wise, and I want to say it might have been, and I feel horrible that I'm not going to quote the right person, but it might have been Radley Valentine, it might have been Garrett Jackson, both in the metaphysical world, but said boundaries are a way of protecting you, right? It's keeping yourself safe. I think the quote was, a boundary is saying that there's something important on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really is, it's not so much, it's protecting what's valuable to me, it's protecting myself. And I think that's why it's so important, is that, it's, although it's a metaphor that is, I don't want to say overused because I can't think of a better one, and it's the oxygen mask and, being on a plane and you put yours on before you put your child's on. And I think now more than ever,
Right.
we need to be doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, now more than ever, for sure. I think that should just be the general theme of today's discussion. It's now more than ever. It's funny. I had a thought come in and I had a thought just go right back out. So,
That's the energy, right?
Yeah.
Really fast.
Right.
Like, oh, that's a good one. And
There's
then,
like, oh, it's gone.
yeah,
Actually, it came back to me. It came back to me because I feel like for many of us, though, we grew up, and maybe this just really plays into the good girl rules. Something I'm going to have to explore is the fact that having boundaries may seem selfish.
mm-hmm. It's the epitome of selfish, right? But that's like, but selfish isn't bad.
Right. Exactly.
We all were taught that it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think, I know one of my mentors has always said, when you feel selfish, that's actually a sign that you're doing things right.
Oh, I love that.
So,
I love that reframe.
mm-hmm. If that piece of guilt comes up and it's like, oh, I should be, it's like, oh, no, I'm actually taking care of myself right now.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So from your perspective, some people see boundaries as being very physical, walls, this kind of place. But from your perspective, you see it in other ways too, right?
Yeah, and I do. I mean, I do see the way, and one of the things I wrote down is that we do need structure, so sometimes we want to be in this free space, but I think that's what allows us to have freedom, is then when we have those boundaries, we can actually show up more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, but I do think in terms of our space can show us where our boundaries are being crossed, and they can also support us. So it's like twofold, our space. It's like they identify where they're being crossed, but then we can use them to support the boundaries that we want to set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm super, so just watching you explain that, like your face just totally lights up. So like, I don't want to lose this moment. So can you just dive right into there?
So one of the places where I see that our space tells us if our boundaries are being crossed. And so this is, we'll talk more about, like, let's jump into like what our homes look like today, but I want to like take a step back about what they looked like a month ago, because it was for me when I'm working in my client's home, and I say this to them often, I don't make up problems where there's not a problem. So if you come to me and you tell me, like, my relationship with my kids is great, like I'm super happy with how things are going, they're perhaps in their 20s or late teens, and you're like, yeah, life is, they're good. That's not, there's this other thing I want to work on. But when somebody comes and they're like, oh, I had to send my kid money again, and they're moving back in, and they're not getting a job, and they're playing video games all day, or whatever the scenario is. But typically what I hear is they're in their 20s or 30s, and the parents are paying their phone bills and rent and whatnot. But the interesting thing is, and that's okay, right? I'm not saying that we don't support our family or support our kids, but if you start coming at it from a victim-y place, if you feel that little bit of resentment or like a victim, 9 out of 10. Like I want to say 10, but like
Yeah.
I hate to say always because then
Right.
it's going to prove me wrong. But quite frequently, I find lots of baby pictures around the house, like particularly in my clients' bedrooms.
Right.
And so our bedrooms are whether we're single or partnered, our bedrooms are still that intimate space, our sanctuary space. And granted, they may also be our office space now, but when we bring other people into our bedroom who we're not in an intimate relationship with, there's those boundaries being crossed. So a lot of times, like I'll have clients who have kids pictures in their bedrooms, and then they have like the baby pictures, and their kids are, and not that we don't all love that like chocolate smeared face,
Sure.
you know?
Right.
But when there's so many, it's an indication of a boundary being crossed. Because we look at them everywhere, like energetically, we look around the space and we see our kids as babies and toddlers when they actually did need our help and our support, and we forget that they've grown up.
Right. Yeah, that's such a great example. And I'm sure everybody's sitting there thinking right now, because I just went, do I have pictures of my baby, my kids as babies in my room? And I don't. Yay.
Okay, well, funny is so recently I got my space doula sign, which was cool. But this was a 3, 4, 5, like let's be real, year project. To order it, took all of an hour or two talking to the guy, but it was years leading up to it. And my kids' pictures were here. And this in my office, when I look at it from a feng shui perspective, this is fame and reputation. This wall happens to be. And in feng shui, the area associated with fame and reputation is how we want to be known, like how we want to be seen in the world and what we want to be known for. So I kept putting my kids in there. And it's like, well, wait, I'm in my workspace. That's not what I want to be known for in work. So again, and yes, I'm raising my hand on the kids' boundary issues.
Hey, we're parents. That's, we all can raise our hands at some point or another. So yeah. That's what I just love about the work that you do, because it's so very rooted in, like, feng shui is very rooted in tradition and just the energy flows. And then yet you seem to bring in such a piece of your own intuition into it. And I've just seen you work. I've worked with you. We have a house whispering session that I still need to come through on, but I'm just like, no, I can't have you look at my house right now. So, I know how that comes up for people. And when we're talking about boundaries right now, I'm thinking about the people who are really being affected by this right now. Like, I have clients who have young kids, and now, the kids aren't going to school. There aren't any more play dates. And the mom is having to take care of all these things. And the dad's working from home, but he's not really helping out with the kids. I also have a client who works from home, and now her partner's working from home. And I'm kind of in this situation now. Like, I was used to having my own space and my own quiet time, and I could play my music as loud as I wanted. And, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, this has changed. Yeah.
I have one of the things, communication, routines, schedules, all are our friend right now.
Right.
So like one of the things that we do in the morning is sit down. So I have a wide range of kids. My oldest is 26. My youngest will turn 12 next week. And so online schooling hasn't really kind of kicked in for us here in North Carolina, and it's spring break. Don't even ask. I'm like, why do we need spring break? We can't. But anyhow, so it is spring break here. But so what we do is sit down every morning, and we've got to communicate, because my husband's got conference calls. I've got calls. We each are doing our thing. So it's kind of like, who's going to be responsible, like letting the dog out? Because I was the one who always let the dog out. Now all of a sudden it's, let's talk about who's letting the dog out today, who's making lunch. I have a call at this time. Can you make sure Barrett's not playing video games for 5 hours straight? So some of it's the communication. And then for him, we set up a very structured, this is his boundary. My son's is, okay, here's the the things you need to do.
Mm.
And Khan Academy is a lifesaver right now. For anybody who's not aware, it's KHAN. It's I want to say they're a nonprofit, but they do schedules for kids and have all these amazing resources and classes. And so
awesome.
We send them, and then they will show you like a report about what they've worked on. So if you don't have online schooling, so depending on your age of your kids, but for me, it's really been in the morning. Let's talk about, so we don't talk about the whole week because I swear things change by the minute.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the morning we sit down, it's like, okay, who's doing what and who's responsible for what.
So is that something that you did before now? No.
No, because there was consistency there. So we probably lived into that. And I was the one who drove to all the school stuff. I was the one, the after school activities. It was just that was my piece of it. And like you said, now that we're both equally home, it's like, oh, wait, now, not that there's any place to go, but, we can equally divide the work better.
Right. Was that an easy conversation for you to have, though? Because I'm thinking that for some people that would seem very out of the ordinary. Like they would have a hard time with that.
Yeah. And for us, it wasn't. I have a husband who's like super, super engaged in family. And so that part wasn't hard in terms of him participating.
Right.
But they are, there's hard conversations, because now he sees things that I do that he didn't used to see. Why are you washing those towels now? And I'm like, I have to explain myself, it's like.
I've been doing that all the time. It's like, I need to have a conversation about this. Can I just do what I need to do?
Because there's a pandemic and I'm paranoid, so I'm washing the towels a lot, okay?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking of the young mom who, I feel like, and I'm just speaking for myself because I just had a birthday, I feel like with age comes wisdom. And being that this is my second marriage, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect at this because I know that I need to have some conversations. I feel like I'm less timid to stand up for myself in a situation where I need help or I need to ask for space or understanding and that kind of thing. And so I'm thinking that for a younger mom with younger kids, this might be a great place to really start if you're thinking about boundaries. But I want to get into as well, like other ways that you talk about, which is, some places that maybe they can concentrate on in their home or something like that.
Yeah, I think for, one thing is it doesn't have to be everything at once, right? For all of us, whether, we're a new mom or have young kids or, we're in our fifth decade or, wherever that is, especially if we're new to it, is taking those baby steps. And what is that one step you can take that's feels a little bit edgy, but that honors yourself.
Right.
And it's the making the request. And so again, one of my mentor, Nancy Levin, who actually just wrote a book on setting boundaries. Setting boundaries will set you free, I think, is recently came out, which is an amazing book to read about boundaries. But, she'll say, when you do this, I feel this. And can I make a request? So when you sit and watch TV after dinner, I feel like I have to do it all by myself. Can you help me clear the table? Can you help me clear the table? I have a simple request. Would you be able to help me do that?
Right.
And then the plan B is if that doesn't work, you add the consequence to it. If you continue to leave your clothes on the floor, I'm not going to wash them anymore, or whatever the logical consequence is.
That sounds like a great book to read.
Yeah, that's a good one for right now.
Right. Yeah, and I think what, you mentioned this before is, now I feel like it is shining this big bright light on, oh, this was happening before. maybe just in little microdoses that we weren't really recognizing, or maybe we did, but we didn't feel, I don't want to say empowered, but we just didn't feel, I feel like as a mom, especially, like you said, that you would do the driving to, part of that comes from working from home. And if you have your spouse who is going off to work, it's a lot easier for us when we're home to take care of those things. Same with taking care of the good majority of home, housework, raising the kids and that kind of stuff. But now that we're in this new situation, I feel like it is this big, bright spotlight of like, oh, these boundaries were happening before, and now it's just magnified.
Yeah, it's the, can I use like a really gross metaphor? Because it just came to mind.
Go, yeah, let's do it.
It's like that, when, it hasn't happened for a while, but like I remember being a teenager and like knowing that zip was coming.
Oh yes, it's awful.
That feeling where you're like, oh my
God. Like, oh no.
Like you can feel it growing, but there's like, you just don't do anything about it, right? And then it gets to the point where just like, everywhere, And I feel like we have just squirted pus all over.
Oh, there we go.
I'm sorry, I took us there.
No, it's all good. We're showing up how we are, right?
Yeah, so, there was a forewarning at the beginning of this, right? But I think that's what is, we ignored stuff for a while, and because it wasn't enough. It was so much easier to roll over.
Right.
It was so much easier to be like, it's okay.
Right.
And two things. One is I'm finding now that I actually have the time to say to my husband, instead of just like being like, that was a shitty thing to say or whatever, and just like walking away and being distracted by something else and pushing that like anger down. Now I'm like, oh wow, I actually have the time to have that conversation. So one is like, okay, now there's time for it. And the other one just lost my mind.
That's all right.
I'll come back around to it.
Well, there's time for it, and it's just so obvious now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because it becomes so much more painful to live with.
Right.
That it's really important to do something now. Because one of the things that you said is, if not now, when?
Right.
Like,
yeah. And
if not now.
So what are so if not now, when? I think that actually came up from yours and my previous conversation, because it was just like, like when? And so when we think of things from an energetic level and from a space level that you do, what are some suggestions that you have?
So there's a couple. I feel like we can set boundaries, we can set boundaries both physically and energetically. So physically, we can have boundaries around our space. So let's say there might be spaces that have to serve multi-purpose, that they're no longer, the kitchen table is no longer just a kitchen table.
Right.
But what I recommend is having rituals around, because our personal and our professional lives are like, I think for those of us who work from home, it doesn't feel quite as muddied, but for those who are new to working from home, that can just come together. And so it's creating that boundary around it. And part of that is rituals, right? How do you start your day? How do you end your day? So I have some rituals around my office space around some energetic stuff, whether it's ringing a bell, or opening a door, closing a door. Like I empty my garbage every night. That's a way to be like, okay, I'm done in my office. So there are some rituals around setting up your space and then closing down your space. And you can do that even if it's the kitchen table. So in the morning, after the dishes are gone, and then maybe you set up a workspace, but at the end of the day, that needs to be packed back up. Just like the kids, at the end of school, they put everything in their backpack. So depending upon, maybe it's even a laptop, but like putting your laptop back in the same space, like having a home for that, which is one of the big principles of organizing, is everything has a home. And that's a way to create boundaries around something. If everything in your home has, or every belonging has a home, that's a boundary for it. So now, even if you're not used to working from home, or even if this is temporary, create a home for your workspace so you can feel grounded and not feel like you're ping-ponging all over the house.
Right.
And that's not to say that you work from home, you work from the kitchen table for a while, and then maybe you move to the couch. But again, your anchor space is back at the kitchen table.
Right.
So that's one of them. I have a colleague, Elizabeth, who just had, I shared this with you. I think this is, from an energetic perspective, is like the coolest idea ever. Is at nighttime, you light a candle. And she has one like in a really pretty hurricane kind of glass. But you light a candle at night and you see how far out that, well, actually, let me take a step back. You light a candle where you want your workspace to be. So let's say it's the kitchen table. You light that candle, turn out the lights, and you see how big that light spans. That is your energetic bubble. That's like your workspace energetically. And so the other people in your home know how big that space is too, and they can have their own candles in their own space. When that candle's lit the next day, like when you start working, you light it. That's your bubble.
Ooh,
Other people know, hey, that candle's lit, I don't interrupt you. And then when the candle's not lit, so it's this an energetic way to look at it, which I think is super cool.
Right. And I'm thinking from a perspective too, it's a signal to everyone else, like, mom's working right now, this is time that I need to work. And just a way as well, not only energetically, but just a little signal where you're not having to say all the time, mom's working right now.
Right. You just point to the candle.
Right.
Like,
candle's lit.
Right. One thing too that I would say is, if at all possible, try not to work in bed. Because I've had a couple clients. I had one client call me and say, like, she was doing some studying for some financial something that sounded like horribly boring. And she's like, I just can't focus on it. I'm like, you got to get out of bed, because our brains associate places and activities, and we associate our bed with sleeping. And so our brain gets confused. So if at all possible, try not to work in bed.
Yeah. And I'll add on to that. I know for me, and this isn't even about physical space, it's just my personal space. If I want to have a very productive day, and I know I have a lot on my plate, I need to get up, I need to get showered, I need to do my hair, and I need to put my makeup on. It's not for anybody else but me. And it just signals to my brain, all right, work's on. Like we're not hanging around in my pajamas until 3:00 in the afternoon, because that to me is just like, it's Netflix time, I mean, it's so for me, I even have to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, and again, like, I'm used to being on video a lot. I'm used to like having to, so I like get dressed from my waist up, right?
Right.
It's always, because at some point I'd have to leave and go pick my son up from school, or I'd have to take him to school. So I would get fully dressed. And now I'm not going anywhere. So I'm like, oh, just the yoga pants are fine.
Right.
And then about 2 days ago, I'm like, crap, my yoga pants are tight. I'm like, yoga pants aren't ever supposed to be tight. I'm going to go back to one of my girlfriends said, you need to put on your jeans at least one day a week.
Exactly. I saw a meme that said, if you don't want the quarantine 15, you should be sitting around your house in your bathing suit.
Yes.
Kind of like, oh, we're not going to go that far.
No.
So what are some suggestions that you have for maybe people who are now having to share a workspace? Say now the husband's home and he's having to work, and there's one place, like that would be like me having to share my desk with my husband, or you having to share your desk with your husband. What are some suggestions?
Right. I think as much as possible to create, kind of like the candle did, create separate workspaces. So it could be like, get creative, rearrange your furniture. It is amazing what a sofa table will do to divide a room. you know,
Yeah.
or you move the chairs differently. So maybe you take your living room and you're like, okay, the living room is going to be our workspace now. We're going to watch TV in our bedroom. Well, I'm actually not an advocate for having a TV in your bedroom, so scratch that. But let's say you have a den. Say, okay, we're going to watch TV in our den now, but we're going to make our living room our offices. But you could set them up. You could rearrange the chairs so that they face different directions. You can actually create, perhaps you have an extra rug that can kind of define, again, a boundary, define space. Go on Pinterest and you can find some great ideas, but even hanging a curtain if you have to. You could do like the suspension rods. You know, I feel like you'd be able to order those online, or definitely like Target or Walmart. Or command hooks would definitely be your friend now. Like if you had a like a shower curtain kind of thing, something, or like a sheer curtain with grommet,
Right.
that you could just hang on the command strip so it could come down easy, the command hooks, so that it's not with your paint, but you could actually create a divider in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just kind of back like when you were kids,
Right.
and you had a room with your sister and you drew the duct tape line and then don't touch my space.
Don't cross my line. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could we might need to come to that again.
We might. What I love though about that is like just rethinking everything. Like, okay, like we have this room set up in a certain way for before this. Well, now we're in this, and how can we rethink and restructure something to fit where we are right now?
Yeah, and I think, you know, what just came up for me is acceptance. It's like, I think it's time, like so much what I've been hearing is the surrender piece. When we can surrender to the fact that this is what it is now, this is where we're at. And so a lot of times my clients will come and they'll be like, I don't, you know, I want to move. And so I'm going to call you in after I move. And I'm like, no. I want to see your space exactly as it is, because that's when I can see the patterns. That's when, and so I have one client who literally had wanted to move for 8 years. She hated her apartment. She was just nasty. I want to move. And I'm like, she's like, I'll call you after I move. I'm like, well, you haven't moved for 8 years. So like, what can this hurt? Kid you not, after we worked together for about a month or two, like from the time we worked together till the time she moved, it was 3 months. And she moved into this beautiful house that she loved. But it was shifting the energy around. So it's accepting our situation as it is what enables us, I believe, to move forward. So when we say like, hey, yeah, this is what it's going to be. So let's stop acting like it's temporary. And it is. We're going to get to the other, you know, I don't want to panic. You will get to the other side of this, right?
Right.
But for right now, this is our present moment. So how can you shift your space? How can you rearrange it? What can you do to feel better in this moment? And if it's hanging some command hooks up that you can take down, like, let's do it. You know, if it's rearrange your furniture, is so easy to move around, especially if you have furniture movers. But like, I shouldn't say so easy. Some pieces are heavy. I get that. But like, try it up. You can always move it back.
Right. Right. And you can always, I mean, to me, it just opens up, you know, spatially it opens up, but also it just opens up the possibilities. I feel like looking at the situation in a whole different light of acceptance. And you and I have spoken about that, about we are going to get through this. And what is it that we, from here, that we want to move forward? Like, what do we want to take with us? And this could be a wonderful opportunity to explore that.
Yeah, and what a beautiful time to now be able to have that conversation with your partner to say, hey, like, can we, I mean, the words that feel good, the next step, the next baby step, whatever feels comfortable, that you can push yourself a little bit, but you can do it, of asking for that support, right? Because if you start that now, and then when everything goes back, everything's going back to the same way, or our new normal, right, is, maybe you're not doing all the driving anymore.
Right.
You know, maybe they find that they absolutely love doing bedtime or bath time or whatever that happens.
Right. Exactly. It's a real opportunity to really use this to strengthen your relationship with with respectful conversation and caring conversation. And
I think the more that we can stay grounded and use the boundaries to protect ourselves and stay centered, the more we can hang in on those conversations.
Right. Yeah.
One other thing we hadn't talked about, but I just want to mention quickly is one of the other things we talked about, like kids and pictures and how those boundaries are crossed. Another place that I see it being crossed, and I can see this coming up now, is, it relates to this. It's accepting other people's stuff. And not that you may not be accepting other people's stuff into your home right now, but what I see so frequently is women in our age group have, many have parents who are moving into assisted living or they're downsizing. And it's particularly moms and daughters. And they're like, hey, I don't want to get rid of this.
Right.
So they give it to their daughter. They give it to their family to hold. And I have one client who took it was her mother-in-law, and she accepted it and got rid of what she loved. Like it was a table. So she got rid of her table that she loved and brought in her mother-in-law's table that she doesn't love. And I'm like, there's the boundary, right? Of sticking up for ourselves and not accepting. There's the codependency piece, is when we accept other people's stuff, physical stuff, but we're also accepting the emotions with that.
Right.
So.
Ooh, yeah, that's some heavy, like I feel like a deep dive into that could be big, just because not only is that, I'm trying to think how to word this so that it's not coming out wrong, but we are now in these close quarters with these people. So maybe it's not even our mother-in-law's table, but it's our partner's whatever. Yeah. And so I just feel like this could be magnified. I'm getting ready to sneeze, by the way. So if I sneeze, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to hit the mute.
So here's an interesting, because the question, I hear it already. I hear the question coming up, like, my partner has all their stuff all over the place and they're a slob, and what can I do? And so I will always say, you cannot this is Chris Carr, you cannot change anybody unless they're in diapers. So assuming that your partner's not in diapers right now, you cannot change them. But what you can do is relentlessly, unapologetically do your own work. And so often when I tell a client that, they're like, yeah, I do have, and it doesn't, like, the energy of our things is like, it doesn't have to be an overflowing junk drawer that has negative energy. It doesn't have to be your partner's stuff like flung all over the floor. Something for you could be a letter from an ex, from, in my case, it was my dad who, when I was little, wrote me this 8-page letter that I held on forever and lived into the fact of what he, wanted to go down that road too much, but like, there was forgiveness on the other side of it. But at the time I held on to it for a long time, the anger of having received that. And so that was negative, and that had far bigger consequences than the junk drawer. So this is an opportunity, I think, to do our own work. And so we may not be able to change how people within our homes, like the grown adults, handle their stuff. We can create boundaries around our space and say, hey, this is my sanctuary space. I don't want, keep your stuff out of my office, keep your stuff out of this corner, whatever it is, you can create that. But the people's stuff who don't live in your house, now is an opportunity to say, you've got, perhaps more time to declutter now, and say,
right,
yeah, I actually don't like that painting. And nobody else in the family is attached to it in your house, but it was given to you by,
Right. Yeah. That's a great way to look at it in another lens of decluttering during this time. Yeah.
And in relationship to setting boundaries of what, how do you want to feel? Start there. How do you want to feel? And now create a boundary, surround yourself with things how you want to feel. That's the boundary. If you picture this giant, like, rose-colored bubble of love around you, what are you letting in it? What stuff are you letting in it?
Right. I love that. Things to think about. So the last question I have, and you touched on it just a bit with the last explanation, but a sanctuary space. Can you just kind of talk about what that is and why that may be important right now?
Yeah, and I think it will look different for everybody. Helen Joy Butler, for anybody who wants to look her up, she does amazing work on sanctuary and creating sanctuary, both internally and externally. When I think of a sanctuary space, it is that space. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's a corner of the living room that has your favorite throw and has, the books you want to read next to it, and has a candle or a crystal or, again, whatever feels good to you. Maybe it's, so it's setting your space up to support you feeling good, to me, is what sanctuary is. So maybe it's in the bathroom that you do have the jar of bath salts next to your to the bathtub, like you have a space with things that help you feel good. In a really simplistic kind of way. I think for me, that's sanctuary.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a whole room. And one thing that we didn't talk about is I think a good idea right now is to alternate workspaces and like time and space.
Okay.
So maybe it's, if you have young kids, hey, I've got appointments here, so I'm going to work at this time, and then you're going to work at this time, so you can, like we have year-round schools here, kind of same concept. You can get more kids through school if you have them on tracks.
Right,
so
right.
That's a good way. And same thing with space. It's like, hey, this is going to be my sanctuary space from 6 to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
But it might have to be the kids' school desk, 9 to noon.
Right, right.
So I think sanctuary.
Yeah, again, and it's being flexible. It's being flexible with what was and accepting what is right now.
Exactly.
And not being tied to, well, this is how we've always done it, because we're not doing any shit the way we always did it.
Nothing's like it's, and I think that is like, forgive me for saying, but that's the silver lining. That's the beauty in this. It's an opportunity to do it differently. And, there's some things that, like I've said, I'm going to run back to, the minute there's a green light, there's things that I'm going to be like, yes, I can. Right. But there's other things that I'm not sure I want to go back to. And so I think I'll have new boundaries on the other side.
Yeah. And it's a great opportunity now to practice those boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we saying, like you said, if not now, when? We've got the time. Right. And I've never, I think that's the biggest gift, because I've always been one to, I don't have enough time. I'm like.
Right. Yeah. You got it now.
Yeah. Got it now.
Yeah. Dorina, this was awesome. I feel like I could just deep dive into so many places that you were talking about. And so what I would like to do is share, where can people find you and find out more about you? And I know you have some classes coming up, so I want you to talk about those too.
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook under Space Doula is my business page. From there, I actually have a Facebook group called Home Base, which is a fun place to come and play. And I also have on that Facebook page, I'm saying this, I'm like, did I post it there?
I think you did.
I will repost it. We'll repost it. So I have a series of 4 classes coming up, and so you can get to them at spacedoula.com/your-home-series, but there's also a link in the Space Doula Facebook page. And so the first one's this Friday, and what I'm going to do is so the Feng Shui Bagua is an energy map. It shows what area of our home relates to what area of our life. And you lay that map over your home so that you know where your wealth area is, where your relationship area is, because then you know where you want to shift the energy around. So what we're going to do is, we don't all have square houses equally divided in 9 rooms, but we're going to take this coming Friday, have a class where I'm going to actually show you how to lay that out. It's going to be an opportunity to ask questions and be like, well, do I include my garage? Don't I? And I'm going to walk through the whole Bagua map and show you how each area of your home relates in relationship to the pandemic. So our relationship area is being affected because we're so much closer. We don't have the distractions. Our wealth is being impacted. Our career is being impacted. So that's this Friday. It's a class all around laying out the Bhagwan map. How do you use it? How to apply it? And how does it relate to the pandemic? The following week is going to be astrology, which is going to be so much fun. I'm going to have a friend who does, runs the astrological wheel. So she'll be able to tell you, you bring your birth information. She'll be able to tell you some information, and I'll be able to tell you some information and show you how to make some changes in your home based on your astrology. The third class is all about intention altars, which is what we talked about. What do you want on the other side of this?
Right.
And how do we create that? How do we start drawing in the energy? And then lastly, we'll be talking about decluttering and how do you figure out the energy of your stuff, because everything has energy. So
I think I'm going to sign up for all 4.
Well, and if you sign up for free, you get the 4th free. So
Awesome.
they're like super cheap. And, so then, you have your business people telling you like, don't give away your stuff, blah, blah, blah. You don't value what people are. And I said, I wrote this in an email yesterday. I said, this pricing does not reflect how I value this work. It reflects the fact that I want as many people as possible to have access to it.
Yeah. And that's the value. So
yeah.
And
you have your group. In.
I do. So I have 2 groups. I have the Good Girl. I can't even think of the name of them now. It's the Rule Breakers group. And then I also have the Tame Working from Home Overwhelm. I should have written all that down. But yes, so right now I am actually working up some offers to have for this time as well. And so I will be popping back over on my page and all my places to share that too. So Darina, it's been awesome. And thanks for jumping on, and thanks for showing up with me today on a pink full moon and all the energy and emotions that come from that. So
I feel better though, so thank you.
Yeah, I do too. And I really think that there's a message in that too, the connection and the conversation and just talking about what lights us up and just spending time together, even from Texas to North Carolina. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we'll chat soon for sure. And I can't see if there's been any questions.
I don't see any comments. If anybody, there's been a few people live. So if anybody has a question and wants to pop it in.
Yeah. Okay. So Emily is asking the name of the book you mentioned about boundaries in the comments.
I want to say it right. So hang on. It's right here. It is Setting Boundaries Will Set You Free.
Oh,
by
nice.
Nancy Levin, Levin.
I'm going to type that in right now.
And it's a good practical kind of book, where steps, and one of the big things about boundaries is the words, where so many of us get caught up in like, how do we say that? Like talk about good girl, I'm like, oh, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings.
Right.
So what words to use. So it's really good about giving you that.
I foresee everyone running to Amazon and ordering that book right now.
Yeah. I know Hay House had some good deals. The other person to look up for boundaries is Terry Cole. She's got some good boundary work that I've done some of her work. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, anybody who's watching the replay and wants to drop in a question, we'll be checking this. And again, go and find Darina and sign up for her classes so we can take them together. So
that would be fun.
Yeah.
All
right.
So they're going to be live, but if I'm going to record them. So if you can't make it live, you can watch the recording.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Darina, thank you so much. I'm going to go lay on my driveway. So
post your lizard pose.
That's right. All right. I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining Liz for the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. Remember, some days are never on your calendar until you put them there. Until next time.